My second encounter with Pradhan was about a decade later when I had come from Kalpakkam on my way to a TIFR organized conference on disordered systems in Gopalpur on Sea. Pradhan by that time was ensconced as director of a new institute then located in a rented building in Shahid Nagar of Bhubaneswar. I was exposed to the second highlighted attribute, Pradhan, the institution builder. He had already collected a good set of physicists, truly representative of his own multifaceted interests. But one thing struck a chord in me. In the garage of that rented building, Pradhan built a nice functional library. Many years later, when I had gone to SN Bose Center in 1999, I was appalled to see almost no library activity, though the center had existed for more than 12 years. My first task was to emulate Pradhan to create a reasonable library. You see, institution building is not a strong forte of ours. We tend to put too much emphasis on personalities, especially in this eastern part of India, and Pradhan stands out as a glorious exception. The third attribute worthy of mentioning is Pradhan's pan-India outlook. Within his available resources and limitations of then Bhubaneswar, he tried to imbibe cosmopolitanism in his faculty. Apart from Avinash Khare, who stayed on, he had Subodh Shenoy, fortunately is here today, Prashant Sen, he had offered Girish Agarwal in order to initiate quantum optics activity. I'm glad that IOP has kept up with this laudable approach in faculty hiring, a trend set by Pradhan. You see, this is no mean task, especially in this part of the country, to hire and retain outstation faculty. In IISc Kolkata, we tried to push this percentage to 40, but alas, that fraction has dwindled because all those 10 odd who left, some ironically to other IIScrs, were exclusively from outside Bengal. What you may say is wrong in recruiting the best talent? Well, a dense collection of people of similar ilk is bound to create a ghetto mentality which affects science in the long run, in my opinion. Pradhan, who was groomed in the tradition of the other great institution builder, Meghnad Saha, chose the noble path, and I salute him for that. Alas, the 8:12 outstation to local representation out of 20 post-MSc seats that Saha had introduced in Saha Institute is in a shambles today. I come now to his fourth attribute, and that is the equal weight being given to teaching as well as the importance of experiments. Pradhan had the foresight of introducing a pre-doctoral teaching program at IOP. Also, quite early through Sen and Pari, experimental activity in positron annihilation and Compton scattering given from the rented building of Shahid Nagar were introduced. Later in this campus, he got started, though Vikas mentioned during V.S. Ramamurthy, but I think the nucleus of the Pelletron was initiated by Professor Pradhan. A Pelletron Accelerator Center for Low Energy Nuclear Physics and Material Science Applications. Thus, true to the epithet that our late colleague Vinay Dattara had affectionately ascribed to him, three-eyed chief, Trilochan Pradhan, the chief had his three eyes equally focused on theory, experiment and teaching. Again, I guess, his early experience in Saha Institute, then located in the university setting of Raja Bazar, had rubbed on him. Though situated in a cramped locale wherein intricate theories were mostly worked out over much mutton curry and toasted bread in Lockhan's canteen, the quality of science was no inferior to what is churned out today from more luxurious facilities in Salt Lake. Finally, I come to discuss the fifth attribute, and that is Pradhan's attention to details in campus building, maintenance and gardening. He planted a large number of trees which have grown to provide this lush background today. His penchant for colorful flowers should not be left unmentioned. I recall how appreciative he and Mrs. Pradhan were at our own efforts when they visited with me at the S.N. Bose Center. I also copied him in making a walking path all around the walls of the Bose Center. I noticed, I was lamenting to Avinash Khare that that trail in IOP seems to have been curtailed a bit now. A small piece of personal experience here that illustrates Pradhan's meticulousness and warmth. On the way to a year sabbatical to Germany in the year 1983, yours faithfully has turned up in IOP for a seminar visit. When I mentioned to Trilochan Babu my desire to give a treat to our two daughters in Puri, he immediately got in touch with a heritage hotel named BNR. The children still remember that unique experience. Perhaps as a sign of changing times, that Professor Pradhan would scoff at. Yesterday on a visit to Puri, I noticed that the hotel is now called Chanakya BNR. Chanakya and BNR, what an incongruity named. The Chairman, Professor Satpathy, I earnestly wish Professor Pradhan many years of zestful life and wish that he will continue to enthrall us with his witty stories. I also pray and wish Mrs. Pradhan many more happy years with Professor Pradhan. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. Next, Professor Siddhartha Sen. Professor Siddhartha Sen. Yeah, Professor Siddhartha Sen comes from Dublin. He did his PhD from MIT and he was professor in Dublin, Institute of Advanced Study. And he has come all the way. He had come to Calcutta, and when he heard this, he also came here. You can see what kind of attraction he had for our Professor Pradhan. Thank you.
It's a great privilege to join in and be present on such a special occasion. I'd like to congratulate Professor Pradhan for reaching this very magical number, and I hope that unlike Tendulkar, who sometimes got out at 98, he will continue and make a century. I was taught by Professor Pradhan in the post-MSc, and the thing which struck me was here was a person who enjoyed physics ideas, and as a student we could sense this enjoyment, this ability to start from some simple basic ideas and joyfully build a structure. This was very, very, what should I say, appealing. Subsequently, whenever I met Professor Pradhan, his warm welcome and his invitation, you should come and visit Bhubaneswar, was very, very what should I say, made me feel very welcome. I visited a few times, and one occasion we had dinner at his place, and afterwards he said, when you're walking back, be a bit careful because there may be snakes. You should walk in the middle of the road. So it was practical advice based on the situation at that time. As students, we knew that Professor Pradhan had done very interesting things. In quantum field theory, we always knew that the Springer term was something which he had found earlier. And so we were proud that we came from an institution where such fundamental things were discussed. His ability to pursue ideas because they attracted him and because they were fundamental, that shone through all his work. One of the things he told me on one of my visits, when he was just stepped down as the Vice Chancellor of Utkal, I said, how did you approach this task? And he said, well, I worked in the orthogonal complement of what many people do. I focused on beautifying the campus. And this is a theme which other people have drawn attention to. So it was a light-hearted remark, but I think the precision of the orthogonal complement still rings in my ear. So in the visits I have here, I always hoped to talk to Professor Pradhan a little bit about his experience of attending lectures by these legendary people like Fermi and working with Goldberger. And so maybe today I will get a chance to get him to say a few words about these experiences. We are happy to be here, and I hope that some of that influence has made me also indulge in pursuing things which interest me without following sometimes the mainstream. And I think he was a role model in that respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sen. I request Professor Pradhan. Respected Professor Pradhan, Mrs. Pradhan, Professor Panda, Professor Sarpati, distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen, I really feel very honored to have been given this opportunity to come today to pay my personal respects and homage to somebody who figures very prominently in my mind among the various gurus I have had the privilege to have. When I joined the Saha Institute in 1963 to do my research there, I was assigned to the care of Professor Pradhan. But I am a person, today I want to publicly state that I have let him down many times. But in spite of that, he's never held it against me, and our personal relationship has always grown. The first letdown was when, not by design, but by sheer accident, I happened to meet Professor Satyendranath Bose, and all of a sudden, at the very first meeting, he said to me, "Amar songe kaj korbi, do you want to work with me?" Now, it was such an
occasion, I don't think anybody, including Professor Pradhan, could have said no. So I did say yes, and I ran to Professor Pradhan and said, this is what has happened. He said, of course you must go. I went to work with Professor Bose, but most of the time I used to go to the science college, and there my teachers were Dr. Purnam Roy, Professor Pradhan, Professor Vinayak Datturai, mainly. And whatever I did was because of the inspiration they provided. Siddhartha has already mentioned the Schwinger term. Now this is a very, this is something that is extremely important in quantum field theory, where as commutators you get the Dirac delta function, but sometimes you get derivatives of the Dirac delta function. And these were first discovered, I found out later on, by two Japanese physicists, Goto and Imamura, and simultaneously, independently by Professor Pradhan. They were later made famous by Julian Schwinger. And because of American hegemony, this term came to be known as the Schwinger term. Now I had the opportunity to use that term and write a paper on it. I learned the techniques from Professor Pradhan, and I wrote a paper which was published in the famous Japanese journal, Progress in Theoretical Physics. And I called it on the Goto Imamura Pradhan Schwinger term. I still remember very distinctly those days when he was in the Saha Institute, and although I had left, I kept in touch with all of them. Professor Manoj Banerjee left after a while. There was Professor Manoj Pal, Dipti Pal, Haridas Banerjee, Vinayak Datturai, Suprakash Banerjee, Professor Pradhan. Although I was much younger than them, somehow or other they accepted me almost as an equal friend. And this is something I'll never forget. It was so inspiring. We would often go home together from Saha Institute. Professor Pradhan used to live in South Calcutta, not too far from my house. We often traveled together. We met over weekends for parties. And all that made a big difference to the way I look at life and what I am today. When he came here and started this institute, several of us came for the interview for a job here. And I still remember that Girish Agarwal, Vinayak Datturai and I came. And all of us were offered a job here. And I think all of us ditched it. I, for very personal reasons. And I felt so bad after that. I have a bad conscience. But the strange thing is, Professor Pradhan never ever held that against me. And later on, I tried very hard to always try and be of some help to him. I do not know whether I have succeeded. Even today, when I come to Bhubaneswar, the first thing that enters my mind is to go and see Professor Pradhan. When he first started this institute in Sahid Nagar, I went to see